if I fall on my ass here. Very careful. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go on my ass. Leave that in, right? Okay. Whoop. Oh yeah, I'm going down. So, welcome back. In one of my other videos, I show how I modify this chair. And I'm not going to sit in this chair anymore because I'm a split second away from going ass over tin cups off this thing because it's not bolted together. So we're going to move this thing. Oop. There are many chairs. This one is mine. I plop my fat ass on this chair a lot. The chair itself is not broken. In one of my other videos, you saw that I modified it to make it a little bit easier for me to sit in while I'm blowing glass. Well, one of the problems I have with this chair, is it's not tall enough, right? My glass blowing table is too tall, and I can't lower it because I don't want to, because theoretically I could raise the height of this table to a working standing height. If I cut the legs, then I cut the legs and I can't make it taller ever again. Not that I'm going to, but I plan for the best, expect the worst, right? So that table's not getting raised. This table here. That table's not getting raised up. To solve this problem, in the past, what I did was I threw together a quick and dirty platform to set the table on, or to set the chair on. Now that had multiple different issues with it. One is, I tripped over the damn thing constantly. I was constantly tripping over the stand. The other thing was that I fell off of it a couple times. Even when I put little curbs around it so I wouldn't fall off, I still fell off. Which sadly I didn't get on camera, but it was pretty goddamn funny. So, I've been looking at this chair and I've been thinking, what the hell can I do with it? Well, because everything now has a 3D printing solution, I came up with this crazy intricate riser for the chair, okay? And it was awesome. This chair needs to come up 6 inches. I can always lower the chair. The chair goes all the way down almost to the floor, like ludicrously low, but it only comes up so high. As a matter of fact, this is as high as it goes. And it's every bit of 6 inches too short for what I need. So I made this intricate 3D design to raise the seat. Well, when I didn't actually print it, thank God, because it was a 20-hour print. But I did print the base plate for it. I started a print, and then I quickly stopped it because, well, not for nothing, Uncle Fezzy can't do math in his head. And I'm glad I did for 2 reasons. One is when I finally took the seat off, which I put this chair together, I should have known that this thing was 2 pieces. Well, it's actually like 5 pieces, but I should have known it was 2 pieces, right? So the back is separate from the base, even though the base and the back are attached via the base. So I built this crazy thing that I was going to stick on the base here to raise it up. Well, like I said, Uncle Fezzy can't do math in his head, and then I screwed up the bolt hole pattern. Significantly enough that, quite frankly, they're just off by a wee bit, but that wee bit was more than enough to say, that's not going to work. The other thing was, if I raised the seat up this high, the back of the chair would be fucky. And it would just be totally uncomfortable to sit in, and it would raise the center of gravity up higher than I think I felt comfortable being. So I have a tendency to lean back in this chair, and yeah, I don't want to tip over and break my fucking skull in here. So, again, everything now has a 3D printing solution. And I came up with a pretty interesting 3D printing solution. Let's take a look at it. Now, the solution actually isn't totally a 3D printed solution. The considerable part of the solution involved a trip to Harbor Freight. So I went and I bought these 6-inch casters. These are actually 5-inch casters. They're 5-inch swivel I didn't buy the 6. I cheaped out, man. The 6-inch casters were $20 a piece. These were like $8 a piece. So they're $8 a piece, and they're rated at 330 pounds each. So, yeah, I'm pushing, I wish I was pushing 206, but I'm pushing closer to 240 now. So I think I have more than enough room, even using Chinese structural math here. I think I'm well within fat. I'm well within fat. If I had to, I could take these apart and drill them out and put bearings in, but I'm not going to go that route just yet. I don't want to say that chair gets light use, but it does get fairly light use. I don't sit in that chair every day. I sit in this one that I'm sitting in right now, which I didn't put casters on because I sit in it every day, all the time. That's why I didn't put casters on this one. So, my first inclination, because I'm a woodworker and I never had a 3D printer, was to build risers out of white oak. I don't have the white oak riser because I broke it doing my test piece. Now then I thought, well, you know what, I'll just use 3/4 inch plywood. Now the 3/4 inch plywood has had two negative aspects to it. One is, well, it's plywood. It's whatever this cheap ass plywood is, and it's only 3/4 inch high, right? So I really need a minimum of 6 inches to go up. So I spent all this time, measuring these things out and making the the first one, the white oak one, I finished, and then I broke it, trying to force a square peg into a round hole, split that shit quicker than instantly, and it acted like a wedge. And I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I broke the first one because I just got that out of the way. So I laid all these out. I did the first one out of the white oak, put it together, and it broke. It broke because I'll go grab one. I'll go grab it. In one of my other videos, I mentioned that I spend a considerable amount of my time pawing through the trash. Well, here we are again. I'm pawing through the fucking trash like a bum. Of course, I threw a bunch of shit in here earlier today. Why wouldn't I have thrown a bunch of trash in here? Ah, there it is. Like a fucking bum, Jules. The broken half is good enough. So this one broke. And this is, I had it all laid out. I countersunk the hole. I do have a mortising machine, and I was going to mortise the hole out square for the carriage bolt, and I didn't. Not for nothing. I had a couple captains in me, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll just drive it together. And acted like a wedge and snapped that fucker. So I got out the plywood. Now I have 25, 6, I have 30 holes to drill. So drilling 30 holes, and I've talked about this in the past, if you're drilling more than 2 holes, you really should build a jig. So I came out here this morning with a little bit more clearer head after thinking about it all night long, and designing the jig in my head on how I was, designing the jig on how I was going to drill 30 holes, right? So I designed the jig in my head. I came out here this morning and I thought, instead of taking all that time to design a jig, how about I just design a template that I could lay over top of these and drill them. And then, again, I'm like, well, if I'm going to design a template to throw on top of these things, to use it as a drilling template and a jig, right, to make sure these all line up, because there's nothing more frustrating than drilling 27 hole or drilling 30 holes and having only 27 of them fit, right? So I whipped out Tinkercad and I designed this. Okay, you're gonna have to excuse me. You know, it's no secret. I'm a bit of a Luddite and definitely a dimwit, and I don't know how to, or feel like learning how to, take a screenshot or record off of the screen. I know there's a way to do it. I just don't feel like bothering with it right now. This will work. I'm not actually doing a Tinkercad. I'm not doing a Tinkercad tutorial. I'm just showing what I did. So this is the part that I designed in Tinkercad, which, like I said, I'm pretty proud of myself. It wasn't nearly as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I had a little bit of trouble lining these up. I know there's a way to do it so they work. I just end up moving the ruler around till it works. So then I exported the file to Bamboo Studio, which is okay, and then I cloned them. Okay, there's a cloning tool, and I auto arranged them. So this is the arrange all objects. Now I didn't do what I said I was going to do, which was to print at 20 or 40% infill. I chose instead to print. So Tinkercad has this, or not Tinkercad, Bamboo Studios has pre-installed profiles. So I chose the 2mm strength, and it changes the amount of wall loops, the shell thicknesses, and things like that. So I'm going to roll the dice here and hope that this carbon fiber material does two things. One is that it'll run through the AMS. It specifically tells you not to run this stuff through the AMS because it's super brittle. Now, the other thing, and this is kind of a little bit hilarious, is this is going to be a 12-hour print. My original prototype piece was 40 minutes, but that was because it was super duper draft mode and it was only one. Well, now I'm printing 5 of them, so it's going to take 12 hours to print, which is no real big deal. I've got plenty of shit to do that doesn't involve, you know, babysitting that printer or doing the rest of the chair project. So there you go. Let me go back. Yeah, so this is really neat. This is actually the printer working. So what I do is this is a 13-inch MacBook, and it's my back and forth from the house to the garage computer. So I can take this at home. I can take this into the house, do whatever designing I want to do, sitting in my recliner, eating Cheetos and drinking Mountain Dew, and I can actually send stuff from this computer sitting in my recliner to the printer, as long as the printer's clear. And it works great. I've done it probably 15 times so far. But that's it. We shall see how things go. Oh, yeah, they tell you specifically not to run this material through the AMS, but this is a brand new spool of material. So I'm rolling the dice here in that it hasn't had a chance to absorb too much water and get too brittle. This is a 12-hour print, so the chances of something taking a shit between now and 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night are really high. This is a prototype. You can see here, this is exactly what I need. This is exactly what I wanted. It fits exactly on top of this caster and raises the caster up a full inch. Actually, it's a little bit more than an inch because I'm slowly but surely adapting the metric system here. Now it's actually, yeah, no, it's exactly 1 inch, maybe plus a millimeter or two. The carriage bolt fits right in here and locks into position, okay? And the way it's gonna work is, I'm not gonna pull it over, I'm not gonna do it right now because I'll show the assembly video after. I'll show the assembly later. So the way it's gonna work is, I'm gonna bolt the, I'm gonna run bolts through here and bolt the riser to the caster. So I'm going to bolt the riser to the caster, and then I'm going to bolt the caster with this carriage bolt through the existing holes in the chair. Oh. Get old fat. Old fat weak. Let's put that there like that. Hopefully that won't go anywhere for a minute. So the way these casters attach is they just push in, right? I'm just going to pull this one out because it's closer to me. So these casters just push into this hole. And I thought that this was like a metal insert, but it's not. It's just a... I thought there was metal inserted into the injection mold, but if it is, it's non-magnetic. So the other nice thing is it's almost exactly 1/2 inch. I measured the holes earlier, so it's really close to being right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna run a 1/2 inch 13 tap through this. So I'm gonna run a 1/2 inch 13 tap through this and tap these holes, and then when this is all assembled, I'm gonna run, yeah, I know those bolts are ludicrously large, but there's a reason for that. I can always cut bolts. I can't ever make them longer, right? Yeah, so I can cut these bolts, but I can't make them longer. The other thing is, so there's a curve here. Now, when I run this bolt through this hole, right, so when I run the bolt through the hole here, what's gonna happen is it's gonna pop out the top, and it's gonna have there's gonna be a non-flat surface here, a curve, basically. So I may have to build a spacer. I may have to print a spacer that goes in here to flatten that bolt out. And that spacer is gonna be pretty long. That spacer will have to be fairly long to make that up. And it's a 1/2 inch nut, right? So 1/2 inch nuts are pretty big. So this is a prototype. I printed this prototype in PLA with only 5% infill. This is 100% prototyping. As a matter of fact, I even used extra draft, the extra draft mode on the Carbon X1 to get it to print out as fast as I possibly could. One of the other things with the wood is this would have had to been this big. If not this big, pretty damn close to it, because I don't trust wood. I don't trust the wood to withstand the crushing force of not only my fat ass sitting on the chair, but also the crushing force of the bolts. So I plan on printing these at about 40% infill using carbon fiber reinforced PETG, which is pretty much the strongest material that I have on hand. I have carbon reinforced PLA, but from what I've researched is the PLA has a tendency to crush over time, and quite frankly I don't ever want to have to do this again. So even though I always joke about, you know, if I break something I can always just print it again, I don't really want to have to do that if I don't have to. I should have radiused these corners, but in Tinkercad, just radiusing corners, outside corners, are a bit of a pain in the dick. The other thing is these are small enough that they won't be obtrusive. Depending on how I mount them, I'm thinking of mounting them this way on the stool bottom. And that'll raise me up, that'll keep my center of gravity low, and hopefully I won't fall over again. All right, so we're going to, I'm going to set the printer up to run these, and then the next thing we're going to do is put this stuff together. Okay, since I have 12 hours to kill, I figured I would entertain myself with trying to drill these holes. I've got the most peculiar feeling that this is going to go hilarious, so I figured I'd turn the camera back on, right? So I got out my 1/2-inch drill here, which has seen better days. Thankfully this isn't a Milwaukee hole shooter, so when this thing catches and spins around, it won't, well, it's not going to, hopefully it won't hurt me too much, because I clamped this down to the table, but I didn't secure this. We'll see how it goes. If push comes to shove, I'll take a ratchet strap and wrap it around and tighten it down with the ratchet strap. So let's see how it goes first. Oh, there we go. First fuck up. I hate chuck drills. I hate keyed chuck drills, especially cheap ones, and this is all, I don't even think this is a Jacobs chuck. This is some shit fucking brand. Yeah, it is absolutely not a Jacobs. But that's why there's 3 holes in them, kids. And it works better if you go the right direction. Oh, I was expecting that. Alright, now I have a tap here. Let's see what happens. I don't know what kind of material this is, but I do know that it's not steel. I put a magnet in there. I put a high strength magnet in there. It's not cutting like steel, and I don't see any. So the hole is actually oversized. The 1/2-inch tap, we're gonna put a little bit of juice in here, I think. Yeah, whatever you do, don't put WD-40 on some kinds of plastic. So I'm just putting a drop of, this is just a little bit of soapy water to make this go a little better. Yeah, I know I'm not clearing chips, but it's cutting real nice, so I'm not worried about it. I'd love to know what kind of plastic this is. My assumption is it's ABS. Maybe even fiber reinforced ABS. These chairs are pretty tough. I've never broken a leg on one of these. I've busted the cylinders multiple times, but I've never actually physically broken the base of the chair. The bases of the chairs, they hold up really well, even to my fat ass. So this might be glass reinforced ABS, kind of like the Glock. She's tough. All right, I think that's going to be at least 90% through. I don't want to go all the way through, because then it's a pain in the ass to back the tap out. I think for that, I only have 5 of these to do. I may. You know what? Let's try. We're going to try an experiment here. I don't ever do this, but this fits in here. I'm optimistic. Again, I'll put a little bit of soap on these, I think. It's threading in. So the idea here is to use this as somewhat of a lock washer or a lock nut. Oh yeah, we're good. I'm also going to probably put like Loctite in there or something. She came all the way through. No, I only have 4 more to do. I'll save you that. We'll save you that. So now, actually, that I have this together, if this does prove to be problematic, there's a pretty decent amount of meat on here. I could put a metal spacer inside of here, like a sleeve, over drill the holes and put a metal spacer in there, and then all this will swivel. All right, so this is the way this is going to go. It's going to go like that, and then that caster's going to go on there like that, and it's going to get bolted through. If I wanted to get fancy pants, I probably could have countersunk those holes, but these are actually slots, because these are slots, and I decided against it. So that's going to go like that, and then the nut's going to go down on there, and I'm just going to cut the nut off. Actually, I should try the nut now while I got them out. These nuts are somewhat unique because they have flanges on them. I picked these up at my local junk supply house. Yeah, that's what I was afraid was going to happen. So I'm going to have to build a wedge that goes in between, a sand wedge, that goes in between here to flatten this out. Now, that's going to be next on the list. And that's going to be a lot more tricky because there's a bunch of curves involved with that. I think I could do it. It's not, somebody. So one of the interesting things here is somebody designed this chair on CAD, right? And there's one thing that designers love to be, it's lazy. So chances are that this is an existing, like this is something that's already, like if I had a radius gauge, I could tell exactly what the radius is, put a circle here, and then cut away all the little pieces. But I think that's for sure what I'm gonna have to do. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm gonna have to build a spacer for in there. Here I'll show a little bit closer what I'm talking about. I knew this was gonna happen. So you can see there's a significant amount of different space here, which I knew that was gonna happen. I had anticipated that ahead of time. I just have to design the piece that's gonna fit on there. And then what I'll do is I'll just hot glue that piece onto here, and then the compression will hold it together. The other option would be to countersink the holes, and flatten it out that way. That's not off the table yet either. But like I said, now that I have a 3D printer, everything has a 3D printer solution.